Welcome to part 2 of the Becoming Batman series. This is phase 2, alignment, and the tagline for this year is 10 Days Supra, which means to aim up. The purpose of this series is to document my progress towards becoming a modern day polymath. Polymath is someone who is a master in many areas, an expert in many fields. For me, my fields revolve around human performance, and so I'm on the underside of that journey, and so I'm not an expert in any field. I have an undergrad degree in psychology. I've started a personal training course, working under a nationally renowned personal trainer. I'm a pretty good basketball player, but I'm semi-professional. So that's another area. And then I'm planning to gain a lot of knowledge in nutrition, physiology, biology, endocrinology in particular, neuroscience as well. Figures sort of like Andrew Huberman is someone who I look up to in this space, the human performance space. And there's some other academics who don't solely rely on academia, but are human embodiments of human performance. You look at them and you think, yeah, this guy can hold himself, and he really integrates, puts into practice what he preaches about. And so that's what I'm trying to be, an expert in many areas of human performance. And then as a test of all of these fields, I have a practical pursuit of becoming the best basketball player I can be. And the best basketball player I can be is certainly a professional basketball player. And so currently I'm not getting paid to play basketball, but I am aiming to secure a professional contract by the end of the year. And that's what's driving me at the moment. And so one of the taglines for this year, beyond the 10 Day Supra, which is to aim up, is alignment. Alignment is a word that I've based this year upon, and each year I base the year upon a word. This year is alignment, and what alignment means to me is making sure that all the avenues of my life are directed towards common goal. Now, the common goal of my life is to become a polymath. At least in my 20s, it's to become a polymath. And so the type of work I'm doing, the way I make money, the studying that I'm undertaking on a daily basis, all these things, when integrated, make it a very clear and obvious path towards achieving my goals. I don't come home from a 9 to 5 dreading the fact that I have to go to the gym. I work at the gym. I work under someone at the gym. I'll work out on the basketball court before I do my own training. After my own training, I'll train some more players, and then I'll go lift some weights. I go home and it's only 5 minutes away, as opposed to 45 minutes, which it was for years of my life. So I've done all these things in my life to align better to a common vision. And to me that's a super important step, because we are creatures of habit, and more often than not we will seek the easy road subconsciously, and whilst you might be able to push yourself in certain areas, you want to be making sure that those areas are the right areas to be pushing yourself, that are going to lead to upsized results in the future. If you have to really grind on some work project that your boss is making you do, and it's just crushing your spirit, when you get home, it's going to be more difficult to muster up the grit and determination to have an exceedingly good workout. But if you're able to leverage your time, leverage your ability to earn more, in particular in the jobs, in the job world, leverage your time to be able to make more money per hour, that will then allow you to have more time to really chase your goals. And so for me, that looked like moving from a 45-minute away house to a 5-minute away house. It looked like quitting my old job and getting a new job. I have 3 or 4 jobs at the moment, all of which are somewhat part-time. I am a basketball coach for running my own business. I'm a basketball coach at the local high school that our gym is connected to. An NDIS support worker, which is National Disability Insurance Scheme, which is basically related to my psychology degree, as I'm working with people with mental and physical disabilities, but that is completely overnight shifts, so I get basically paid to sleep. And the 4th role that I'm working towards, besides the high school basketball coaching, the 4th role that I'm working towards is the personal trainer role as well. And so all of these things can be done within close proximity of my business, of my main goal, which is to become a basketball player. And that took time to cement. It wasn't super easy to quit my old job. I had a lot of friends there, had been there for 4 years, but quitting that job and then deciding to not take any day shifts for my NDIS job has allowed me to spend my entire day focusing on basketball and my academics. Basketball split into my own training and my coaching businesses and jobs and responsibilities, but they're all to me under the same banner. It's just thinking about basketball, training with players, training by myself. It all fits under the same umbrella. And so my life now is not compartmentalized. It's solely and wholly integrated. And so that's an important thing. I've got a paragraph which I read over each morning, and I'll read it out here. But this is something which I've done for a while, is a morning checklist of things that I ask myself and things that I remind myself of. This year it's just looking over the goals, less about the prompts, but I'll read it out here. Phase 2 marks the shift from accumulation to alignment. No longer adding habits, skills, or knowledge indiscriminately, but integrating them into a single coherent operating system. 10-day Supra, to strive upward, defines this year as the deliberate ordering of body and mind. Craft and character towards a unified aim. Basketball remains the primary arena, but it is no longer isolated from endurance, cognition, recovery, or moral discipline. Each domain is trained to reinforce the others. This manual exists to codify that integration. A polymath framework where physical excellence, psychological mastery, intellectual rigor, and disciplined recovery operate as one system, executed daily with precision, restraint, and upward intent. And so that sort of summarizes what I've been saying, and not having separate areas of my life not working towards a common vision of becoming a polymath. Now, with that being said, we're going to go into one of the arenas, one of the tenets of my life. This year I have 4 tenets: financial, physical, personal, and academic / intellectual. So we'll go through financial first. My 2026 stretch goal is to have $250,000 saved by December 31st. The floor goal of that is to have about $200,000 saved. Now, my required weekly savings is between $3,000 and $4,000, and the earnings will obviously have to exceed that as I have expenses each week. My private coaching business represents one of my 4 streams of income, and that includes about 2 or 3 group sessions, about 15 focus groups or small group sessions, basketball camps, and then some other avenues which I'm trying to build, including courses, an app, hiring coaches and merchandise like shirts and stuff, but those are supplementary, obviously, in terms of my focus. So the group sessions will typically earn me between $500 and $700 a week. The focus groups, the 15 focus groups, will typically earn me between $1,500 and $2,000 per week. And the camps are, when averaged over time, are about $500 to $1,000 per week, depending on how many camps I do per year. I'm aiming to do about 25 camps this year, and each camp is $100, and I try and get 20 to 30 kids at each camp, and pay coaches, pay for court hire, things like that, pay for prizes. So there are some expenses, but relatively little amount of overhead. The second stream of income is high school basketball coaching and club basketball coaching, which all happens at the same gym, and that's about 8 hours to 10 hours a week, and earns me about $500. The NDIS overnight shifts earn me about $600, and they're about 2 overnight shifts per week. It's about $500 now, actually, because they've dropped the shift length to 10 hours. If I can look for additional overnight shifts per week, I will, or weekend work. There's always quite high leverage. That's the offensive strategy. I'm building towards getting my personal training license, which will then allow me to maybe integrate private physical, like gym coaching, into my basketball training service. So I'll be able to do maybe a couple of group fitness sessions each week with my basketball group, but also maybe doing some work with different types of people, old people, young people, some grandmas and grandpas, whatever it is. But again, alignment being the key word this year, making sure that it all fits into my vision. So that's the offensive strategy, those 4 streams of income that I'm building upon and have built. The defensive strategy this year is to limit big purchases to maybe a car, groceries, rent, and basically to limit it there. My current car, I'll try to hold on to as long as I can. It's a bit of a bomb, but they are huge liabilities, cars, so I'll try my best to avoid that. My goal this year is to spend less than $10,000 total. So that includes groceries, fuel, rent, and hopefully I don't have to buy a car. But if I do, just buy another bomb that can last me a year or two. Because all in all, I'm not looking to buy my forever car just yet. So also want to follow a more stringent budgeting system. So dedicating about 20 to 30% obviously towards tax, 10% into an emergency fund until it reaches $5,000. My emergency fund is currently at $2,500. 10% into weekly bills and expenses, so it's about $300 a week. And then 60+% into my savings goals and stocks. And so the breakdown of that is to have $175,000 to $200,000 in my Colonial First State account, which is a lot of ETFs, mutual funds, baskets of stocks, which are supposed to be reliable. Now, that being said, I probably believe that we are in somewhat of a tech bubble, and a lot of my ETFs are based around US tech stock, so it's about as risky as you can get in the ETF space, I think. But that being said, once I get to 100,000 in that account, I will then build on diversifying it a little bit more safely, and so my next 100K in that account will be with my mind set on diversification and safety. I want $25,000 next year to be put into individual stocks on CMC market. Sorry, my phone died. I want about $25,000 in individual stocks. So playing around again with cryptocurrencies, individual stocks as I see fit, different arenas of life, different ETFs, but just a bit more like thinking about it instead of just a set and forget strategy. I did that a bit when I first got into stocks, but then I just decided to limit and lower risk by getting it more into ETFs and mutual funds. That being said, all the ETFs and mutual funds, as I've mentioned, were quite high risk tech ones. So I actually lost $10,000 last year while the tariff situation was going on in the US. I'm happy to ride those bumps out, but yeah, more diversification, the better. But then having a little bit of play money to look into more potentially high leverage stocks. 25 to 50K investment in a slowly depreciating car. Now again, this hopefully doesn't have to happen and my car stays alive. I had a car die last year, transmission damn near blew up on the expressway. So I'm used to driving bombs, and that's okay for this stage of my life. You know, I'm not Batman just yet. It sounds cringe to say, but I'm not not up to that level yet. I'm building my financial goals, and eventually one day a nice car will be on that radar. But beyond that, a $5,000 emergency fund, and then some smaller baskets that I have on ANZ Plus, which is just a bank app which helps you put money into like bins or baskets or jars, I think they call it, that you can save towards a holiday or save towards buying a car, whatever you want. So I'll have a $5,000 emergency fund. I'll have a fund towards potentially getting a car. I'll have one towards random travel or holiday fund if I want to do it. I have the money to do it. And also a gift fund. I like to give nice gifts, so have a couple grand towards gift giving throughout the year. Beyond that, not much else to say on the finances. I think for me, learning about compound interest in my 20s and really applying it has been, and I hope will continue to be, one of the most important things that I learn. It seems silly to those in the know, but compound interest is truly a remarkable thing when you start early enough. They always do these numbers games, but if you're someone who invests since you're like 21 for 9 years, you invest $2,500 a year. By the time you're 65, that's grown to like something like 3 million. If the market remains as it has been, which is a big if. But if you're someone who starts investing at 30 and then invests all the way up until they are 65, you'll still have less than person A who just started a little bit earlier. The time component of compound interest and investing is incredibly important and undereducated. You don't get that lesson really in high school. You maybe get it once, but they don't drill it into you how important it is to invest early. Delayed gratification on buying that shiny new toy, a new iPhone, new car, whatever it is. Try and hold off, invest as much as you can from an early age, and then watch that really grow. That's just one of the most important things that I think you can do in your 20s. Now, it's not like that's groundbreaking information, but it's just solid advice that your granddad would give you, but maybe you should listen. So yeah, that's all I've got to say. Wish you guys all the best with your financial goals. If you have any questions or comments, suggestions, put them down in the comment section. And yeah, this has been good. Next video will be about my physical goals, looking at my goals in basketball, the processes, habits that I'm taking to achieve my physical goals on and off the court. So yeah, see you guys there. All right, peace.